I think mentally, a lot of people also kind of freak out about niching down. We could have a debate about niching, but like for me, I understand personally as a content person who can do a lot of things, the stress of being like, but I like doing things. And what this sprint versus recurring or sprint to recurring allows you to do is start with one thing that you're really good at and then leave the option for bringing other skills that you have in to solve the then one-time highly contextual or recurring problem on the back end of the project that you could offer as an upsell. Like, I'm not saying do content strategy for like the tripwire and then be like, on the back end of this content strategy, I can do email and social and this, like you still don't want to be doing all the things because then you get into custom scope land. And I think we should talk about that in a minute too. But it gives you a little bit more flexibility in the way that you can solve a problem instead of just doing one of your skills. And for me, I love that. I'm mostly doing social writing for clients right now, or social advising, social sparring. But obviously I can do a million things. And if a client comes to me and they're like, I'm ready to expand into a newsletter, if the problem of social gets solved-ish and they want to expand, cool, we can talk about that on the back end, but we're not starting there.
It's almost like that part of the business does not even exist publicly or front-facing. Like the only way to get to those things is to go through this. And let's talk about the customs, the scope, the spectrum of scopes.
Yeah.
I made that up just now, but I like it, so we're going to roll with it. The spectrum of scopes. Think about this. Like on the far left, you have totally custom, bespoke. Like every single line is brand new every single time you do it. Everything, no one has any clue what it's about to be until it is. And then on the other end of it, we have completely and totally productized assembly line. Every single decision has already been made in terms of what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. It's highly transactional in that way. It's like very easy to get and to understand. The other one, much more abstract, requires a little bit, like a lot more context and nuance to get over the finish line. Okay, so we have these two extreme opposites. Custom scoping, we believe, is the hardest way to build your business. It creates several constraints on the business. Mm-hmm. The most obvious being marketing. How the hell do you explain to people what you do if it's different every time, right? There's a lot of marketing constraints for that. Unless you have the best network in the world and people just magically appear in front of you asking if you can help them solve their very vague problems, and you have to go through this whole discovery process with them, like, gonna be really, really hard to get things going, get off the ground with a fully custom scope thing. Now, people would argue, well, what if I do custom web design? I think there's a lot of ways that you can inch toward productized, or the more well-contained version, which is what we would call standardized, right? So instead of we can build anything for you, we build iOS applications. This is top of mind because Robert gave this example in a recent LinkedIn post, and I was like, this is such a simple example, so I'm going to reuse it because it just makes sense. iOS applications. Now there's some operational consistency here, much easier to market, but we can build any app on any device, on any platform. I get all of the things, but simplicity is velocity in all of the ways, right? And so it's much easier to market this, right? If people need iOS applications, now they know where to go. Okay, so we understand that. On the fully custom side, hard to market. Also very hard to sell because it is a multi-step process and it requires a lot of discovery, obviously, and you must scope out the project. Mm-hmm. The problem that people have is a lot of people are really bad at scoping. When I was at the agency, a huge problem was just poorly scoped projects, and especially websites. Sometimes when you've never built the thing you're about to build, you go, I think it will take us this long. And so therefore, we're going to build in this much time and energy and effort, whatever, if you're selling value-based value points or whatever the hell the agencies price now, it's like hours. They can take me 10 hours to build this calculator, this application. So, and then it takes you 20, or there's a bunch of revisions that they want and that you didn't account for.
Mm-hmm. This happened recently to a friend. He got hired for like $10K, and then he texted me at the end of the month and he's like, I think I just did like $40K worth of work and I'm really, really, really mad.
It's not just poor scope. There's also like, hey, your contracts must protect you and the client. So it's like, hey, you get a round of revisions in this. If you want more, then we have to deal with that separately.
Yeah. Or he was like,
just predetermine how we deal with that.
He vastly underestimated how long it was going to take. It was exactly what you just said.
Okay. In those cases, like, the more you do a thing, the better you'll get at figuring it out. But I mean, I don't really...
He's not going to do it again, though, because that's not what he does.
Well, I'm just saying scoping, like as a skill, scoping work as a skill is hard.
But I mean, thinking about that graph that you made, which we'll also put in the show notes or on LinkedIn. Like, if you only do something once, you've never done it before, you cannot, with confidence, scope it. You just can't. Mm-hmm. But if you then do it again, you've learned from the last time. You do it again, you learned from the last time. And that is how you get to the magical place of understanding what the hell you're doing and getting.